personality, it wears thin quickly.
Yep. Hey, on line one of the Talking Text line, we have our pal Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Packers.
A man who never wears thin.
Yeah, especially with my diet, I never wear thin.
Well played, well played. How are you doing, Wayne?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic. Everybody's looking forward to Sunday. This is an interesting week because everywhere else in the league, this quarterback is sitting, this team's resting their starters, and here the Packers are playing their hated rival, their historic rival, for a right to go to the playoffs. We're the opposite of that, and I can't say I have a problem with it. I would rather watch a game with meaning like we're going to have than where all the starters are sitting waiting for the playoffs to start. What say you?
Yeah, absolutely. This brings me back to these week 17, week 18 games with the Bears and Packers where there's a lot on the line for one side. And I'll go back to 2010. The Packers had to beat the Bears in Lambeau Field just to get to the playoffs. The Bears had already clinched the division, clinched everything they could do. They were the second seed, locked in, and Lovie Smith came up to Green Bay, and he played all his starters, played him the whole game. And it was that whale of a ball game the Packers were able to win, and the rest is history. And then there was that game in 2013 that everyone keeps playing on the internet every time the date comes up, just a couple of days after Christmas, when the Packers and Bears played a de facto playoff game in Soldier Field on the last week of the regular season. The winner goes to the playoffs. The loser goes home. It was that epic Randall Cobb catch from, Aaron Rodgers. So we've been here with these guys before. And the deja vu to last year where the Lions, a surging team in the division, came to town, and the Packers, all they had to do was win a game to get to the playoffs. That scenario is almost identical with the Bears playing the role of the Lions.
It is, and that's the game that you mentioned, the Randall Cobb catch. That was when our pal John Kuhn made the second most famous block in Packers history.
Yeah,
behind Jerry Kramer in the ice ball when he tripped up Julius Peppers and gave Rodgers time to make that throw. I'll never forget that moment. That was pretty sweet. So, Wayne, what is your take? We argue about this all the time. I maintain that the Bears are and will always be the Packers' number one rival, and it's not our fault that they've stunk for 30 years. But it's just, this is the proximity. I'm feeling it now. I know they just vanquished the Vikings, and a lot of people have them at the top. You have history with both clubs. What do you say about that? Do you have a preference for the rival? Who is the bigger rival for the Packers?
You've been on both sides of the mic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the rivalry is huge still for the fans. I think the fans of both sides, of both teams, and I know this especially in Chicago, the number one rival is the Packers, and that's what it's all about. And that kind of starts with Virginia McCaskey and bleeds all the way on down through management, the team, and then out to the fan base. So I don't think that's ever wavered. Maybe in Wisconsin, there's been a little bit more of a Vikings-Packers thing. And from a player's standpoint, players don't look at these games as rivalries the way we do. Okay, they really don't. Maybe the Bears do at this point because there's such an emphasis in their organization on the Packers series. But, I get the feeling the Packers, it's a big game. It's the Bears. It's a division game. And by the way, if we win, we go to the playoffs. So that makes it even bigger. But in none of that do you hear the word rivalry with Green Bay. And maybe Aaron Rodgers said it best the other day. It's not a rivalry until they start beating us, And I think that's kind of the way it is. And that's the way they feel in Chicago. Why they feel so strongly about this game is because they rarely beat the Packers.
This is the unique position the Packers are in, that they are the number one rival of all three of their co-residents in the division. They really are, right? I mean,
yeah.
Should we start crossing out the letter C on things all over the place, between Michigan and Ohio State? Wayne, we were just kind of kicking this around, and I said I'd ask you this after the break. As a Packers fan, and it's an 8-8 team, but I can't remember. And I know I kind of alluded to this at the beginning of the season. I can't remember a team I'm this excited about. There's just something to watch the development of Jordan Love, and the fact that everybody is so young. You're kind of watching them grow up together. I likened it to the Fab Five of Michigan, although they probably won't go to the Super Bowl. But here you've got all these young guys that are performing at a great level and moving into the hopefully the playoffs. Is this one of the most exciting teams that you've seen in the last several years?
Yeah, I would agree, KB. It's interesting because we got to 8-8. We had this discussion, I think, in August, and it might have been it may have been up at the lodge there in Green Bay with you guys that last year
by the lodge, he means Moose Lodge 801.
Yes, Moose Lodge 801, of course. but we're all brothers in Moose. Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
We had this discussion, and it's interesting because last year, after 16 games, the Packers are 8-8, and they were coming in with some momentum and had a beautiful win over Minnesota on New Year's Day and all that. But 8-8 was not nearly as pleasant then as 8-8 is now. And I think I feel that with the team as well, just judging from the feel of the team last year at 8-8, very disappointed, hoping to make the playoffs and maybe make their mark in the playoffs because that was a Super Bowl or bust team, whether that was right or not, but that's what the design was. And this team, just one of those growing things. And hey, if they can get to the playoffs, that's going to be great, and there's a whole different feel to it. The atmosphere around the Packers, from what I see of these guys in recent weeks, they are relishing the journey. And whereas the last year's team maybe dreaded it a little bit more.
Talking with Wayne Larrivee here on the Drew and KB program, Hunter Baumgart alongside. So what have you seen from the Bears with your film study? You mentioned surging like the Lions were at the end of last season. They seem to be on the uptick, and a lot of that is tied to the way that Justin Fields is playing. What are you seeing when you watch the Bears on tape?
Justin Fields is playing well. And I thought they were moving the pocket a little bit more with him, but they're not. He's in the pocket, and then when he has to escape, that's when he's really dangerous. I'm impressed because he's playing solid football. He really is. I don't think he's playing quite as well as Jordan Love is, but he's playing well. They have an excellent running game. He's a big part of that, obviously. But defensively, guys, is where this team has really stepped up and where this team is extremely impressive. They are solid. They're really good against the run. Their linebackers, and a couple of them are ex-Wisconsin guys, TJ Edwards and Jack Sanborn, have been just outstanding on that second level of the defense. Montez Sweat has made a huge difference up front and in every way, especially with the pass rush. They get pressure on the quarterback constantly. They're giving up 84 yards rushing a game, far and away best in the NFL. And they're running for over 140 yards a game offensively, which is number 2 in the NFL. So they're doing two of the main tenets it takes to win football games. They run the football and they stop the run. And the other factor that's impressive about them, defensively especially, they're taking the ball away. They're making interceptions at an alarming rate. It's amazing what they're doing. So this is much better team than we saw opening day. I felt opening day, the Packers got a great break to play the Bears. Why? Because the Bears had all these new players, and there was no way they were going to be ready by opening day. Not the way they put teams together in preseasons today. Well, they're ready now. They lost their first 4 games. They've made we're on 7 of their last 9 games, something like that. It's just they've really put it together. They're one of the hot teams in the league right now.
Time to learn about Larrivee real quick.
Mm-hmm.
My question, Wayne, we opened the show with it. When is it appropriate to stop saying Happy New Year? How long can you wish somebody Happy New Year? And when do the tree and the lights come down at Castle Larrivee?
The lights came down yesterday. The tree will come down this weekend. You get a week, especially if you haven't seen somebody, to wish them a Happy New Year.
See, there
you
we go.
That's right on our consensus.
Okay, one last quick one. The world goes to hell, and you have to head into your doomsday bunker. You can take 3 people from the game on-air lineup. Who do you take with you? Who do you save?
Well, of course. You 3 guys. I mean,
that's the answer.
That's the answer.
Easy one.
From 3 to 6.
Because we're bringing bourbon.
Yes.
We're bringing bourbon and we're bringing health food from Moose Lodge 801.
There you go.
You
All
got
the
it.
curds and chili you want. Wayne, thanks for joining us. Always a treat.
We'll
Thanks,
talk to you
Wayne.
next week, guys. Take care.
All right. Wayne Larrivee, the voice of the Packers.